are generally. So I think it kind of works against them in that because they're a high profile team in that game. So I kind of think everybody will be on high alert there. All right, let's pull it back up, Dag, in this region if we can. There are a few more games I wanted to hit on before we got to the West region. Texas gets in. I think that was maybe I don't know if it was a surprise. It felt like because after they beat A&M, they probably would be in with the respect that the SEC got. Before we get to the Illinois preview, Mike, Texas Xavier, any thoughts on who comes out of that one?
Yeah, I've been banging the Xavier drum for about 2.5 months now. I thought they were a tournament team back in late December, and I would take Xavier in this game. I mean, they're one of the most experienced teams in college basketball, and there's not really much more I can say about it. I think Xavier advances, and I think that's the end of the season for the Longhorns.
Yeah, and so that would get you Illinois here, and they are playing better basketball. So is this the moment now? They got a 6. That's better than it looked a month ago. What their path here. I mean, you're getting a banged up Kentucky team. If you win that one, most likely you got a chance here to make a run if you're Illinois, Mike.
No, I think the common theme it felt like from the Illinois fan base was try to get a 6 and see if you can match up with Kentucky at the 3 with the 3 spot. And yeah, I mean, again, I talked about Xavier. Xavier's one of the most experienced teams. Illinois is not one of the most experienced teams. There's going to be a lot of guys for Illinois that are going to be playing in their first NCAA tournament. But again, we've seen the peaks. We have, and not many outcomes would surprise me with this Illinois team. If you talked about them making a second weekend, or if you talked about them falling to, in their first game, I think everything is on the table for this team. It's just, it depends on how they can get their footing to start the game. Cause I think that tends to really dictate, I think, their confidence at times, and especially on the defensive end. And if they can get that right, sure. I mean, you go into that Kentucky game and you let it rip. I mean, it should be a really good crowd. I mean, Illinois fans don't have to go far. You're in Milwaukee, and if you make it to a Sweet 16, you're going to Indy. So it's set up nicely for the Illini.
Yeah, I was in Nashville, and I got a chance to watch Alabama, Kentucky, and man, Kentucky really scares me. Like I know they're a good team, believe me, but they're hurting right now, man. They're hurting. The injuries are piling up on them, and they scare me. They feel like a team that would go down, in a 6-3 matchup. John, when you look at this region, let's pull it up again today, because I'm gonna ask this question to John. When you look at this region, which is it Kentucky as a top 3, top 4 type seed that you feel like could have an early exit? Like who you think is vulnerable, in the top 4 here?
Well, you look like at that bottom half, like, you see Kentucky kind of vulnerable. Illinois, I just feel like it's a team, like they have such a high, like if they get clicking, right, this is a good little spot for them. Like the Tulip said, like they can make a nice little run. I really don't believe in UCLA. Coach Cronin is going to probably yell at them, to the point where they just want to go home. So I like Tennessee or Illinois to kind of run through this part of it. Like you said, Kentucky's limping, they're leaking oil. UCLA, I don't really, we're not talking about Tennessee. This is a nice little path. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To kind of,
they do. They do. Yeah. Like, yeah, I did see a sentiment like the committee just handed Tennessee an Elite 8. I don't think I believe that, but I do think they probably.
No, I mean, Kentucky, Kentucky can very well put up a fight here and make it out of this bottom pod. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, Illinois or Kentucky wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Illinois, lost on a buzzer beater to Tennessee earlier this year. The one thing with Illinois as well is you play a team that is already have a game under their belt, that already has a win under their belt. That's huge. But as I look at the rest of the region too, it's just like I think Clemson's being slept on at this point. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see Clemson make it back to an Elite 8. We talk about experience. I mean, this is one of the most experienced teams in college basketball. And then, the 4-13 game, that's going to be a trendy upset pick. I guarantee it with High Point and Purdue. But
exactly
Purdue, right. They're going to be one of those teams that I think, it's Trey Kaufman-Renn is going to have an advantage in that game. And just the Big Ten is the Big Ten, but High Point is going to have their hands full with that 2-man game with Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn. Like when it's right, they're going to be kind of at their mercy, and it's high points. It's high points. Basically, ball screen coverage is going to determine that